Hi, welcome to Connected Rheumatology. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Ortiz. If you're new here, welcome. I am a board certified internist and rheumatologist based out of Dallas, Texas. And here at Connected Rheumatology, we talk about all things rheumatology, immunology, diet and movement, mental health, and wellness, because we believe it's all connected. So I'm filming this as 2020 is winding down, which seems insane to say out loud. This year has been challenging, to say the least. We are headed into what's most likely going to be a very difficult and disappointing winter. And many of us are probably looking at the past 10 months and thinking, what just happened? Despite all the great advice out there on how to pick up a new hobby or like get the bod that you've always wanted, if you can look back at this year and simply say that you survived, then good job. Figuring out how to stay motivated during this year and to do the things that we know we need to do for our health has been very difficult. But you know, let's face it, a lot of us struggled with motivation even before COVID. You can't turn any media on without being inundated with ways to stay mindful, stay healthy, stay grounded, stay blissful. You can spend 5+ hours a day on your self-care or staying healthy. And yet, just picking up one of those habits sometimes seems very daunting. I and most doctors aren't immune to this. We find it difficult to do the things that we know will keep us healthy too. I find it really hard to take my own advice sometimes. So, as we head into the new year, I wanted to give some insights and some pearls on some of the things that I do to stay motivated, to stay healthy. So before we get into the tips, I just need to put out a disclaimer. I am not a motivational speaker. I am not a fitness guru. I am not a chef. And I'm not an efficiency expert. I'm just a working woman who's trying her best to take care of herself and do the things that my profession allows me to know are things that will help me stay healthy, help me add life to my years, and most likely add years to my life. I have a front row seat in the world's best classroom, and that's the clinic. I've had the honor of taking care of so many different patients from all kinds of backgrounds with all kinds of histories and all kinds of struggles. And I've seen how we can take care of ourselves and each other. And it's with this experience combined with my own curiosity to make sure that I'm getting the most out of my life that then I come to you with these little nuggets to chew on. So the first one is you first need to define what health and what getting healthy means to you. You know, living a healthy lifestyle is a journey. It's a process, it's a practice. And before you even get on that journey, you need to know where you're starting from. So how do you define health? Is it living as long as possible? Is it getting off your medications? Is it having energy to play with your grandkids? Is it all of the above? The definition of health for you will inevitably be a consequence of your current life's circumstances and can change over the years. For me, I define health at this moment as having the confidence to know that my mind and body has the resilience to handle whatever life throws at it. Once you know what your definition of health is, you then decide to make it a priority, to make it a guiding principle in how you live your life. Now, I know that sounds easy, but you really need to think about what that means. Just like being a good mom, or being a good spouse, or being a good team member or excellent leader, inform all the decisions you make both at work and at home. Deciding to be healthy has to be a priority. It has to be a part of who you are and who you want to be. Now, I know this sounds hokey, I do, but I've worked with a lot of patients and I can immediately tell when I walk into a room if I'm with someone who's in it, really in it with me and wants to be a partner, or who's someone who expects me to do all the heavy lifting. We get sick, things break down, that is just life. But having the mindset that getting healthy and staying healthy is just who you are, there'll be no stopping you. Next, I usually find inspiration from those around me. Do you have those friends who just keep making the same mistake over and over again, who don't ever really seem to learn that lesson? Unfortunately, you can't teach it to them, but you can learn from them. Look around you and ask who is active, happy, and joyful, and then see who's resentful, negative, and complaining. And then simply copy what those happy people are doing. Just ask them, what are they watching? What are they reading? What do they eat? Obviously, no one's life is perfect, and no one is living a healthy lifestyle 100% of the time. But we can learn from each other's successes and from our failures. Taking this a step further, look at your own family. What do family members struggle with? And then you can use that to figure out what obstacles you might have. Obviously, most of us are aware if there's heart disease or cancer in the family. But other things like mental illness, obesity, and addiction can also be family issues. If you have any family members that struggle with this, it's probably worthwhile for you to come up with a preventative plan. Lucky me, I have pretty much everything in my family, if you take in both sides. I learned pretty early on that I was either going to go down pretty well-paved path, or I could fight like hell to find myself a healthier path. Genetics are tricky, and they are not a straight line. Our environment, both internal and external, have a profound impact on our genes. So we are not these predestined bots that we used to think we were. And this information is incredibly empowering. And then even one more step further, use social media to your advantage. Now, I know social media is rotting our brains and eroding our society, but I do believe it can be used to our advantage. But it requires active participation on our part. We need to be engaged with the media that we consume. This requires us to check in with ourselves. Does this person or page that I follow make me feel good or bad about myself? If it's bad, gone. Go find the sites and the pages that are inspiring and motivating and uplifting. Again, go to those individuals in your life who seem to know what they're doing and ask them, who do they follow? Once you start following one or two of these pages, the algorithm will just start showing you more. You can turn social media into your own personal cheer section. I make non-negotiable time in my schedule to do the things that I know I need mentally and physically to stay healthy. Now for me, that mostly involves activities around movement and mindfulness, so that could be exercise or journaling or yoga. But if I'm tired, either emotionally or mentally or physically, and I need to rest, then I rest, and I don't feel bad about it. I have built enough trust in myself to know that taking 1 or 2 days off from my exercise routine or from my clean eating isn't going to completely derail me, and that I'm going to get back to it when I feel ready to. This trust wasn't built in a day, it was built over a long time. And it's fortified by the fact that I have made being and staying healthy a guiding principle of my life. Now the last, and I think probably the hardest thing that I think is integral to staying motivated, to take the time and care you need to stay healthy, is to know that you're worth it. Keeping up healthy habits can be hard. Life is stressful, and moving and eating clean and getting a good night's sleep sometimes doesn't give us that fix that a cupcake or social media scrolling can. We know that a walk around the block will give us more energy. And we know that a 5-minute meditation might clear our mind. But sometimes doing what we know is good for us just doesn't really feel that good. The difference between people who fall off the wagon and then get right back on versus those who can never quite seem to get on or let one slip up derail them for good, I believe is this core belief that they're worth the work. I invite you just to think about this. Think about yourself, think about your family. When you know something is worth doing, even when it's hard, you will find a way to do it. How is your health any different? As a doctor, I can say all day long that you need to eat more vegetables or you need to be more active, but unless you really know in your bones that you're worth the work it's going to take to make those habit changes and make the lifestyle changes that are necessary, I can say it all day long until I'm blue in the face. Just in case you haven't heard it recently, let me just say, right here, right now, you are worth it. We are all worth it. I know this one was a bit of a thinker, and maybe not exactly like the 10 tips to stay motivated you were expecting it to be. I figure there's tons of advice out there that tell us how to exercise more, eat cleaner, and sleep 8 hours. You know, like get yourself an exercise buddy, don't buy the cookies to have in your house, and turn off all blue light about an hour before you go to bed. Well, I just wanted to get into something a little bit deeper. I wanted to talk about some of the things that I would see day in and day out in my practice that I really think hinder people in their attempt at making true, healthy changes. As we brace for a holiday week like we've never had before, I invite you just to let these ideas marinate, just to think about them. With the new year right around the corner, it always brings the energy of renewal and expansion, and boy, do we need it right now. I hope you found something in this list that resonates with you, something you can think about as you put together another New Year's resolution list, or not, whatever your jam is. But if you've struggled with staying motivated to do the things that you know you should do, think about these items and see what happens. As always, thank you so much for watching. I am truly grateful for everyone who watches, everyone who subscribes. If you like this and want to hear more about rheumatology, immunology, diet and movement, mental health and wellness, then make sure you subscribe. It's all connected, folks. Have a happy holiday, and we'll see you next year.